basically some of the stuff that you can get out of the hive, first and foremost, honey. I mean, we know that. So this came out of our hive, and I love watching that. I don't know if it's just because I'm really easily entertained or not, but that's just fun to watch. That came out of our hive a week ago. Okay, we got 120 pounds out this summer out of one hive, which was a lot of fun. Plus, the other thing you get, the wax. Not a lot of people know what to do with it. We make lip balm, lotion, hand salves, all sorts of different candles you can make out of it, all sorts of stuff. Many of you are woodworkers. It makes a good polish. All the industrial wood polishes and things like that are beeswax based, so it's good stuff to have. And the other thing we can make out of that is soap, which we make. So I'll pass that around if you guys want. This is that is our orange clove. Yeah, sorry, that's our orange clove that we make out of it, which is a lot of fun. So soap making is fun. Beekeeping is kind of lends itself well to a lot of different things. How many of you have dogs or cats? Okay, if you're interested in keeping bees, you actually spend more time with your dog or your cat taking care of them than you would with bees. You check on them every 7 to 10 days throughout the summer, unless it's, you know, different time of year doing extracting and things like that. But it's pretty minimal time constraint as far as how much time you need to put into them. Plus, it's a lot of fun. Gardens? Anybody have a garden? You enjoy gardening? Our first year of beekeeping, we had 6 Roma tomato plants. We yielded 90 pounds of tomatoes off of those 6 plants, just because we had a hive pretty darn close to it. So, and that was the same with our squash and our watermelon and everything. Everything just, we had a lot more than we normally did, which was kind of cool. So, anyway, any questions thus far? Just want to be quiet and talk about people. Okay, all right. So this is just kind of your standard hive. I don't have the inner cover in that, but that's okay. So typically what you'll have on a hive, you'll have your bottom board. What I like the screened bottom boards, but you can do the solid as well. It doesn't really, it's kind of a personal preference type thing, but I like these screened bottom boards for a couple of different reasons. You got the screen on here, and you can open up this drawer, and that kind of helps the hive regulate the temperature, different things like that. It also helps you manage the mites and the population of the mites and things like that. So you don't want those. They're no good to have in your hive. But it's just kind of a good thing to have on there. So this is integrated pest management, is IPM is what they refer to it. So that's just one way to take care of your bees. Otherwise, if you don't have this, they'll actually make an air conditioning unit in the hive. They'll fill honey cells with water, and then they'll fan over it, so they'll make their own evaporative cooler and cool it down. But that takes a lot of energy from them that they could be devoting to making honey and things like that. So that's just kind of one way to help your ladies out. So there's your bottom board, and then typically you have, and there's a couple different, thoughts with this. Some people like to go all deeps. Some people like to go all mediums. I kind of have a mix of both. So I have 2 of these deeps typically when we have our hives. So that's their brood chamber and their food chamber. So you don't ever really mess with these too much as far as extracting honey out of these, because you want them to make it through the winter. They need between 60 to 120 pounds of honey. It just kind of depends on where you're at. I'd say roughly 80 pounds typically in a winter here. They'll go through about 80 pounds of honey themselves. So you want to have them, help them build that up. So you don't want to extract any honey out of here. So you'll have 2 of these, and then anything that you put on top of that with your medium or your honey supers is yours. Now you can go out and buy your own boxes, all those different things. I'm enough of a nerd. I make my own stuff. I have so much fun. Stan makes his own stuff. They actually just came out with a couple of really new products. If you go on their website, you can check them out for cut comb honey, which is kind of neat. Which, instead of just cutting the face off of this and spinning it and getting the honey, you can actually just cut the comb itself out and then eat that. But you guys have it in the square individual. It's a neat, yeah. I could spend the whole time just talking about the one little honey barn thing on top. That's a pretty cool product. But you got your deeps, you got your mediums. They also make shallows. I don't really do much with those, but you can if you want. But basically, your first year, you'll let them establish the hive. You'll start out with, and now this is just, we can pass this around. Let me find a good one so I'm not embarrassed when Stan looks at it. That's an okay one. All right, so this is just a basic just a normal frame that's got the Cell-Right foundation, which is a plastic foundation, and then they coat it with beeswax so the bees can more readily accept it. What's nice about that is when you're extracting and you're spinning the honey out, that's a little more rigid and it won't blow out like the normal just straight wax will. So it'll kind of get soft and blow out on you in your extractor. Now, the reason you want to take care of the wax is because it takes 10 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So basically what that translates into is it takes roughly as much honey would fill one of these supers to make the wax on this soup or on this frame. So if you have this, when you're extracting, you could cut all of this wax off and spoon it out and do what's called crush and strain, and that works and that's fine. But the problem is you run into next year, they then have to take 10 pounds of the honey that you could have extracted and saved for yourself to build the wax and then fill it with honey. So it kind of makes sense to kind of hang on to your wax if you can. I'll pass this one around. Just don't squish the wax this way. If you could hold it by the wood frame, I'd appreciate it. But just to show you, this is a frame that's about 2 years old, and it's had a couple of generations of bees hatch out of it, and that's why it's a little darker. And then this is a little bit newer. This is from this year, and so you have the two different colorations of wax. So this is the newer one, and they'll even make it this color just by walking over it. But when they hatch out, they leave the cocoons behind in there. Well, we'll just start one on each side, and they'll pass in the middle. If you get a little sticky, that's just bonus, I guess. Any questions so far? I know I'm kind of I could go on for hours and hours and hours. So if you guys have a question, if I touch on something you want to hear more about, please stop me, because I'm a huge nerd and I'll keep going. So let me know. As far as where to get equipment, what equipment to get, I don't have the best back in the world, which is why I use these mediums, because let's see, a deep full of honey can be anywhere between 100 and 120 pounds full. So one of these, trying to pick it up from there, it just isn't going to be all that great. I'm barely able to do this. We'll get 60 to 70 pounds, maybe even 80 into one of these, and so picking that up and moving around is kind of tricky. So yeah, you want to make sure you cater it to your needs. If you have an even worse back than that, or you just don't lift well, anything like that, another way to do it is a nucleus hive, which is, instead of the 10 frame, it's a 5 frame. So if you come over to the tent, I've got one of those over there. It's just a little baby hive. It's a little nucleus hive, and you can stack those as high as you want and extract honey as you go, different things like that. So it just kind of depends on your ability level, how good your back is or how bad your back is, and you just go from there. So any questions on equipment, different things like that? Do you have any? What's that? Yeah, well, I was getting to that. I just meant like the hardware equipment. Would you? Never mind. You sit and be comfortable. If you want to see the veil or the jacket, come over to the booth, because I forgot them over there. But typically, getting started in beekeeping, there's just a few basic things you need. I don't use this ever, do you? It came with the kit, so I have it, so I brought it. Actually, the one use that I did find for it was last year I brought a frame of honey for everybody to see how heavy they are, but the bees kept coming in to get it. So I put it in a hive and stuck this in front of the hive entrance. So it's a great entrance blocker, which is about the only use I found for it. People use it to brush bees off, but you roll them and kill them, and I don't like them very much, so that works. I guess with a swarm, kind of works, Or with the queen, yeah, you want to take care of her. You don't want to squish your queen, because as much fun as it is to pay $30 for a little bug, you don't want to do that. So, there's that. Good smoker, really good important tool, good gloves. Oh, yes, very important tool. When you're working your hive and you set a frame down at your feet, guess where the bees go? Up your pants. So they like to climb if they're not flying. So you want to tape your pants closed, either rubber band or tape. So that's a good one to have. What time am I going to? I don't even know. 2? Oh goodness, I need to be quiet now, don't I? Anyway, okay. So you got your hive tool, which is basically like a little pry bar. Don't go to your hardware store and get like a little crowbar. They don't work. They're too heavy. So this is actually the size and the weight and all that stuff that you need. So a good smoker, good hive tool, and good gloves, as well as a veil or a jacket, different things like that, is pretty much all you need to get into it. Starting out, all of the gear is going to start you between $300 and $400 with the bees and the hive and the jacket and the veil, all that. So pretty good, but if you figure how much are you spending on honey, how much are you spending on allergy pills a year, how much are you spending, on all these different things, lip balm, soap, like I said, we got 120 pounds of honey out of our hive this year, one hive. How much would that be in the stores? I don't even know. It'd be a lot, right? Plus you got food storage for quite a while. It never goes bad. What's that? Yeah, around $200 just for that much honey. So if you're putting 40 pounds or 80 pounds or 120 pounds of honey in your food storage, yeah, that's going to run you a whole lot of money. It'll run you almost as much just to get the stuff going as it would once you get that established. And what I'm saying about how the honey never goes bad, if you take care of it and put it away right, when they opened King Tut's tomb, they found still edible honey in the tomb. Okay, it was crystallized. All they did was warm it up and that, but it was still edible. So it keeps for a while. As far as medicinal goes, Aubrey got a bad burn on her thigh a while back. We put straight raw local honey on it, and it was a second-degree burn. Doesn't look like anything. Didn't pucker, didn't web, didn't do anything. Just a little bit of discoloration on her leg. So it's good stuff. And it's fun. It is so much fun. We love it. Any other questions or comments you have, anything like that, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them if I can. If I can't, I'll point you to these guys because they're really the experts. And, we'll go from there. Yes? Don't wait until it's time to start your hive. It's way too late because people will order them. Usually, we ordered ours back in November, I think. And so, yeah, January, November, around there, January, February, really good times because it's those times that the beekeepers say, okay, we're going to be going and getting this amount of hives and this amount of nukes and this amount of things. So if you want them, order them early. Get on the list. Otherwise, if you try, who knows? Yeah, everybody sells out every single year. So get on the list early. Get all of your equipment. Get it set up before you're ready to put your bees in. That's kind of a mistake people make. I got my bees. Oh, shoot, now I need to put my hives together and paint them. And oh no. So, the timing's important. But as far as, yes? Location in your yard. Best place, you want morning sun and afternoon shade. If you have a place in your yard that has that, they're going to be really happy there. If you don't, they'll be pretty okay. You want to find a place that doesn't have a whole lot of wind coming into the entrance, different things like that. So, yeah, thank you.